What's going on, y'all? Hope all is well. Another beautiful day in sunny Jacksonville, Florida, even though it's raining outside, but it is what it is. But today, want to kind of do part two. I did something about James Brown, got some good comments, good views. So I said, James Brown, he hit the $100 million mark. God rest his soul, and he passed away. However, though, he did not have his legal affairs in order. So I want to talk about trust versus will versus trust. Came off the tune of me having a conversation about James Brown with a client. I don't know how we got on that conversation. And then, of course, I wanted to show a video of James Brown doing the most, but from an investment standpoint, the things he did was the most to be profitable and save money on taxes. Before we get started, though, as always, like, subscribe, share to our channel. As we get to the 1K mark, got to call before we mark. I got more clients than I got subs. Practicing for 16 years, been a certified financial planner for 11 years. Extremely blessed. Check out our app, Let Bob, on the Apple or Google Play Store. And then also we have our own ETF on the stock market, LETB as in boy. The first Black-owned AI-powered ETF ever on the market. Let's go and show you guys a little snippet of how James Brown was doing the most, how from a legal standpoint, trust versus will, and how that affected the estate of James Brown. The $100 million trust, by the way. Look at Chad. He was ready for the interview, wasn't he?
$1,000 bond. He joins us from Atlanta to discuss the charges. And
first off, he's inside with gloves on. I mean, inside with glasses on, that's one thing, but inside with gloves on, oh, you know you were popping. He had the OJ, he had the ISO turtles on. You see all, let's go back. He had the ISO turtles on. Look at that.
Atlanta to discuss the charges. That's from Atlanta.
He had the ISO turtles on. If it don't fit, I will get there. All right, come on, James.
To discuss the charges, and we welcome you, James Brown. How did all of this trouble begin?
Living in America.
There you go. That's just living in America. So that's living in America. That's James Brown for you. All right, but as we see here, though, his estate, and then this is back 2021, right? So at that time, the estimated $90 million deal will mostly go to a scholarship fund for children from South Carolina and Georgia. James Brown estate has sold after a 15-year dispute. You want to talk about how much probate cost that was? Oh my goodness gracious. Then from state lines, because he had stuff in Georgia, South Carolina, so you're paying double the cost. Man, oh man, oh man. So in 2021, James Brown died almost 50 years ago. Little rest of soul, 2006. Left behind a plan of most of his estate to pay for scholarships and children in need. After legal disputes, the iconic soul singer's dream is coming to fruition with the sale of his assets. The music publisher Wave Music for $90 million. $90 million. Look at that. Also bought half of Whitney Houston's estate. Man, I wonder what they plan to see with all this money. One of the greatest musicians of all time, he died in 2006. Of course, battling lawsuits over his estate. Dozens of lawsuits being filed. 2009 settlement would have split his estate between a charitable trust, Heine and Brown's adult children, but South Carolina Supreme Court overturned that deal in 2013. Will and a trust. If it's a trust, can't do it. If it's a will, then yes, the state can do what they want to. And in this case, they did in 2013. Ruled that because Heine had not dissolved the previous marriage, she and Brown were never legally married, and she has no right to his estate. If he had a trust, things could have been different if he wanted it that way. So, as you can see, another part of protracted dispute involved different estimates of the estate value, right? So it was $5 million, while previous executors said it was $84 million. Others say it was $100 million. So again, you have people saying two different things. And how much does it cost the estate? Money, because each time they do a valuation, it goes towards the estate, legal documents, and you're just spending money. Now, most everybody don't got $100 million. Even if it's $1 million that you leave and you have some things going on, you want to have a trust. So what is the difference between a will and a trust? This is brought to you by the good friends at Nerd Wallet. So it will, the cost, around $0 to $1,000 depending on the complexity and size of the estate and how it is created. Do it yourself, online, or via attorney. Now we know using an attorney is going to be more expensive than doing it online, but strongly recommend that you do use an estate attorney to go through it. Just makes it easier, make sure it's done correctly. It's just easier that way. So instead of saving you a couple dollars, use an estate attorney. Don't use it yourself, or don't go online. Use an estate attorney. Trust. Up to $6,000 for a simple online trust, around $3,000 and up for complex trust. So trust is more expensive. Definitely on the high end, $3,000. I've seen trust be way more than that. I have a trust, two trusts actually. They get expensive. They definitely get expensive. But from a protection standpoint, you definitely protect yourself. You protect your family. So I typically recommend a person doing a trust. Now, if it's not a lot of assets, if you're just kind of just working day by day, things of that nature, then you getting a will is perfectly fine. Making sure you have a TOD on your savings account, transfer on death, so it goes directly to the beneficiaries with no probate. POD on your investment accounts, power on death, same thing. But definitely, as we get rock and roll and have more assets, more complexity, definitely get you a trust. Better for people with minor children or dependents, those who have specific wishes for end of life care or will, right? Those who want their beneficiaries to receive the assets while they're still alive and potentially avoid estate tax and probate after death. Now, it's a high number though, right? So they call it the death tax, right? But if it's 5 million or above, you're good. You meet that exception. However, the big key is what to do with the money afterwards. With the trust, they get the money, they get it. They might have to wait to 18, depending on what state it is, but when they get it, they can do what they want to. With the trust, once they get it, restrictions. You can say, I want you to spend 5% a year every single year. You can't take out as much money. Have a client, they created a trust, and they said the kids can't get the money unless they finish college. And once they finish college, they don't get it till they're 25. And at 25, they get 5% every 3 years, making sure that they work for their money. They don't blow through all the money. So with the trust, you can dictate while you passed away how the money's spent to make sure you don't blow through it. Because we all know when you work hard for the money, when the next person receives it, they ain't gonna take care of it. Hence, why a lot of small businesses, second generation, fail for reasons like that. But let's see what else is going on, Nerd Wallet. Process, straightforward. That is true. Also, more complex process with more paperwork. Yes, the trust is definitely more paperwork. The effect, effective on one's death, usually comes secondary to a trust. That's true. Trust overlaps what the will says, provides guardianship for minor children. A trust, effective once signed and funded. So you can have a trust today. Again, we have a trust account, have many clients have trust accounts. It's effective today. You don't have a will account till a person passes away. That's when a will takes an effect. Takes presence of a will. The will can say one thing, trust says another. A trust is overlapping the will and does not provide guardianship. So you need to get a will. Most people, when they have a trust, they do get a will for the guardianship and then the trust. And then if you have an attorney who's looking out for you, then he'll cut you, a lower price on that will since he or she is doing a will and trust. But, it is what it is, right? Wills do not avoid estate taxes through estate tax. Generally only applies to assets over 12.92 million in 2023. Irrevocable trust can provide tax benefits and protect your estate from creditors. Revocable trusts generally do not provide these things. So yes, the reason why people get trust as well, if you have creditors knocking on the door, they can't get that. If it's a will, they get that. And also, again, you are able to avoid the death tax, right? I said 5 million. What am I talking about, Mario? It's really over $12 million. Even your CFP don't get it right on the time. All right. Nobody does but God. But definitely you having a will does not avoid. So if you pass away, you're going to get more taxes from a death standpoint, right? If you have a trust, we eliminate that. Now, it is an exclusion, though. It's $12 million. So we got $3 million. We're good. we don't get taxed on the death tax or the estate tax. If you got 15 million, then yeah, you're gonna be taxed. So, if you got a couple mil, it won't matter in the grand scheme anyways, because you meet that exclusion. Privacy. Wills may be subject to probate, which is public legal process. Everybody knows your business. When everybody knows your business, they coming after you. And that's why it took 15 years for James Brown to settle, because everybody came out. He said many times he wanted that to go towards education in South Carolina, where he's from, but then you had an ex. You had a person that he was seeing. You had business partners. Hey, it's because of me he had these songs. You had everybody coming out the woodworks trying to put a claim on his estate because it was public. But with the trust, as you can see, trust bypassed probate. No probate. So the court can't say who gets what, how, when, and why. What you said in that trust goes. No probate. Saves money. And less likely to be successfully challenged, which keeps your finances private. I strongly recommend most of my clients get a trust. Now, again, if we're just going through the process, we're building our nest egg, maybe not so much. Once we have a nest egg, or that nest egg is being created and is growing, you want to get a trust to protect yourself and protect your family and just your privacy, right? You don't want people going after woodworks or your money. You don't want that to happen. So that's why I recommend that you do a trust. And that's why typically if you have a chance and financially we have the means, I recommend a trust and not a will. Last thing, protection during a capacity. Will takes effect after you pass away. So they do not protect your assets if you become incapacitated. So if something happens to you, you're still living, will doesn't take effect. Trust protects your assets if you are incapacitated and still alive. So a trust does do that. Also good to get a healthcare directive as well and a power of attorney. Now, a power of attorney and a healthcare directive goes away when you pass away, but it says that the healthcare directive can make decisions and the power of attorney can as well, along with the trust. So that is why we recommend trust over wills. Hopefully that gives you some good information. One more thing from James Brown before we finish, though.
Today,
Wait a minute, I just got here.
Oh, is there something more you want to say that we haven't
I was
covered?
that other thing.
Okay, go ahead.
I love America. I love everybody. I feel good.
It sounds to me as though you're not troubled by any of this at all.
This is a man's world.
Thanks for reminding us of that. Every once in a while, we forget. James, good luck on your tour. Thanks for being with us. I guess we're going to hear lots more.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego, or whatever, indeed. James Brown, I mean, definitely had his fair share of situations. Great musician, better business person. Legally, definitely, prayerfully, everything from a well-wisher standpoint happened. But prime example, you can have everything in order. You can be great in business, but legally, you want to make sure you have things in order. That's why we recommend you doing a trust and a will, but preferably a trust. Hope that helps, though. As always, y'all, be safe. Let's make some payment profits together, y'all. Peace.
And you just wanna get paid, tired of making the money mistakes. Make a payment on your bills and you still late, yeah. Pay for profits to help you seek change, and you just wanna get paid, yeah. Tired of making no money mistakes. Make a payment on your bills and you still late, pay for profits to help you seek change, yeah. Cut the show and just listen. You wanna feel empowered by making money decisions. Residual by the hours can get you a better living. Bitch at the check, you knowing it could be different, you know.